Hello guys, welcome to our podcast. We are the Real Speal. I'm Joaquin Pinedo, I'm the social media director.
I'm Josh English, I'm the technical director.
And I'm Jose Camacho, I'm the chief editor.
And I'm Adrian, and I'm the team leader. And here we have our guest speaker, who we invited today. What's your name?
I'm Mac.
Alright, well thank you for coming, Mac. This is giving us our insight and experience on like opioids and kind of like the type of effects that it can have on someone's life.
Yeah.
So, I have a question for you, Mac. So, first question I have is what are some obstacles or struggles that you faced that led you to the abuse of substances, such as opioids?
So, some of the obstacles that kind of led to the whole situation was just a lot of feeling like I didn't fit in and trying to honestly be cool in situations and just trying to do the most possible, and it ultimately just led to just a dark path.
And do you feel like that was more in your younger years or like after high school?
Absolutely. Younger years is kind of when I started like dabbling into it a little bit, but once I started to mature a little bit and realize what I was doing, I didn't have the feeling to do anymore.
You kind of like realize how the effects it's having on you.
Absolutely.
If you don't mind me asking, what are some opioids that you did abuse? If you don't mind me asking, if it's too much, I understand.
So, a couple that I did were oxycodone, Vicodin, and then those were like kind of the harder ones, and then there was Adderall at some point.
How did it feel like when you were on those drugs? Like, did you feel like you want to take it again, or would you like feel afterwards like the effects of it?
Weirdly, when you first start doing it, you kind of feel like a god in a way, just because it's like
A new feeling. Like
new
something
feeling.
never felt
You
before.
feel powerful just because you were able to control it.
Mm-hmm.
But once the substance gets control of you, you just
Start to backfire.
exactly, and it's a whole different situation.
Did you feel like it was very addicting, like when you first started and you couldn't stop?
Not at first.
No.
Until later, that's when it started to actually affect me, when I saw how much I was doing. Because at first you don't think of it. Later you do.
Yeah.
How did it affect your relationships with your friends or like even family?
I wasn't even... I felt like I was in autopilot for a lot of the conversations I was on. So it was
Oh wow.
it was a weird experience, because like I was there, but I wasn't. And I wasn't able to be as close to my friends and family as I once was.
Would you say it was sort of like a derealization type of thing?
Absolutely, yeah.
If you guys don't know what derealization is, it's kind of like when you're like living life or going through the day and you feel like you're not even there, as if it's like sort of like a simulation. Would you say?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. You don't really feel like real. It's kind of like you're living in third personage, and like it's like it feels like you're kind of just floating through life. Like you're just letting life go through you, and you're kind of like, yeah. It's a weird feeling, honestly. Yeah.
Is that accurate to something like you felt similar to?
Yes, yeah. No, it's just weird, because you don't feel the same. You there's something off, and you just can't put your finger on it.
Yeah, yeah.
How did you like overcome that?
It was a personal battle at first, but then you have to have support, because the only way that I was able to get off of it was support,
From who?
family,
Family?
and friends too, because that's the hardest part, just telling them,
Yeah.
and then after that it just gets easier.
Were they very understanding?
Yeah, it's weird. You get like, you think you're gonna get one response, but you actually get the other.
Yeah, so you said that you like needed support from like your friends and family, but did you have any like resources available to you to like help you combat your addiction at all?
I didn't. I was so stuck. Like I was kind of just floating for a while, not knowing what to do, and yeah, it was rough.
So this was it was an ongoing thing, like if you don't mind sharing, like how long were you abusing opioids?
It was around like 2 years, and it was just there was times where it would be worse than others, and then you would just kind of slowly get out of it, but every now and then you would you'd fall back into it, but not full on. So it was like a long stretch of 2 years, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And would you try these at school?
At first, that's where it first started, and then after that, then it started like reaching out to different people and stuff like that.
How would you feel in class? Or did the teachers like notice you different?
No, I was, for the most part, I was okay. It's, the weird part is the same, it's like, it's not noticeable. And that's the scary part for a lot of people.
Would you say you like built a tolerance to it? Like originally, how did it feel for you? And like, yeah, like originally, how was it feeling? And then like, how did it change over?
So, first, I would take one pill and I couldn't even handle what was going on with my head, and
Effects.
the next week or two of doing it, I was able to take 2. And after that, I was able to take 3, and it just, then you start adding other substances, and that's when it gets really dangerous.
And if you don't mind me asking, where would you like find these drugs for opioids?
So, dude, it's anywhere, like parents' cabinets, I don't know, friends of friends, I don't know, it's kind of just whoever has it.
Would you say that you fell into peer pressure or not?
Yeah, the only reason why I started doing it was because I wanted to see how much I could do and be that person that could handle
Like
it.
the cool guy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was, it just messed me up.
I actually have a question for you. So this might get a little emotional or like a little deep, but if you like share what you're comfortable with sharing. But obviously it wasn't just you, it was probably you and your friends or like people you knew.
Yeah.
Do you have any friends that are still like battling with opiates to this day, and you can really see like what could have happened if you didn't like wise up and get out of your bad habits?
Oh yeah, there's this guy that I knew that he would, freshman, sophomore year, he would do it, and just a little bit, and super cool guy, and coming into junior year and senior year, he like flipped a switch and started doing more, thinking that he could handle more. Maybe his tolerance was higher, but it started making him do weird things.
He was different.
Different
guy.
Ended up going to like juvenile, like those places for them. Like juvenile prison, sorry.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was insane because it happened so fast. You think the guy's fine, but
And then
tomorrow
something happens.
you get news and realize he's not.
Yeah.
And that's the part where it's like, okay. So it probably happened to a couple of my friends, not the same degree as that guy, but around that. It usually ends up like that.
Going back to my question about like the resources and everything, do you like wish there was more options, like, and resources that maybe you and your friends could have like used to help like battle with this addiction that you guys were facing?
Oh yeah, like we were in such a stuck situation. We just did not know what we wanted, and we needed something else. And the only reason why we kept on doing it is because we didn't have that something, you know. We wanted to feel different, but not this different. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What's your opinion on the available help like even school could offer you, like Olympian, like teachers? Like, do you feel like they would have never known, or people would have never known if these incidents didn't happen?
Yeah, like that's a weird one because like I feel like schools do a lot and they show their availability, but in reality, you don't realize how scared a student is to come out and talk about their stuff. So it's like you need a whole different environment than the way that it's approached right now. I feel like
You think
because it's just a little more safe.
You think that there is help available, but it's not the right type of help that students would be comfortable taking.
Yeah.
Essentially, is what you're saying.
So yeah, so what you're saying is that, like, you feel like these like organizations or whatever, they need to like create a more comfortable and safe environment for people battling addiction to feel like they can and they won't be judged for
Judged,
their
get in
addiction.
trouble, because it's a lot of things, like, because you don't know what's going on at home.
Mhm.
So it's like, if their parent finds out about this, it
Yeah.
could be the end of it.
Mhm.
And it wouldn't be the right thing to be attacking. You need to be focused on the problem of the whole drug issue. So
Like the root behind, like the reason why the person's taking it, not just the drug use itself.
yeah, so it's trippy, but it's like schools, they put in their effort. They just need to go at it in a different way.
Yeah, I understand.
I think at Olympian High School right now, there's no like organizations that help with like addiction and like drug prevention, are there? You guys know?
If there is, they're not like they're not like
They're not
showing
reaching
it.
out.
They're not
Yeah.
reaching out enough, and they're not like showing how available they are or showing that they're available.
Mhm.
I feel like there's more that could be done to be like showing this option for students.
Yeah.
And yeah, there might be, but I don't know too much about it, and I don't know if you guys have.
I totally agree, and I would say like, even until we started doing this project and we started talking about this like research and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and I started seeing the statistics of how common it really is, even in our community. Like if you would have asked me last year, kids our age are taking like any type of opiates like fentanyl, I would have said hell no. Like there's no way. Like I've never seen a kid talk about it, never seen anybody do it. Been to a bunch of like events, never seen it once. But then obviously it's not the case because kids are very good at hiding it. There's many, like obviously there's groups of kids doing it. I mean, there was an incident.
So many kids.
I think there was an incident of a girl overdosing on some type of pill in a bathroom. They came and picked her up. Like I think it was earlier this year, right?
Yeah. Scary.
It's just scary how like you're right. It's very hidden, and like students are very good at hiding like what's really going on.
That's the reality of it, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. And yeah, over the years, like back to when we were little, you know, we were just like play video games or whatever, like build Legos. And nowadays, like kids, like when they're like in 6th grade or whatever, they're like overdosing on like hardcore drugs or just like
Yeah, it's actually
getting into it.
It's trippy. It's like we're growing up a little
Like every
differently.
year, like the statistics increase to like higher death rates and like addiction rates. And it's like
Yeah, no, it's true. It's like that. It's only getting bigger. Like
Oh,
imagine like
even
20 years from now.
even though there's more resources coming out and stuff, it's still rising.
The
Like,
availability of it is also increasing as well.
yeah, that's very true. It's just keep getting younger and younger.
And I think a lot of that is to do with how it starts with there's like gateway drugs per se.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it starts with kids like middle school. I remember kids smoking like little wax pens, or they would smoke weed occasionally. And then you start doing that at 6th grade, 7th grade. Eventually, you're gonna be like bored of weed, so you're gonna try something else, and then you get bored of that.
Just
Start-
ongoing cycle.
You start getting stronger, and then that's when you get introduced to that new feeling, the new like feeling of coolness in a sense, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that at a young age is now, especially they're so exposed to so much stuff now, and it's like harder for kids to reject
And
all those gateways.
And it's not even like like in real life too. Like on the internet, drugs are so glorified.
Yeah.
Like you see all these rapper videos, popping pills,
Yeah.
sipping lean, all this
Lyrics
stuff. Like
too.
they
Lyrics,
glorify and all these people are like praising these rappers and stuff. But this gives the impression to little kids that this is cool. This is something cool. Everyone's doing it. Like you're cool if you're doing these hard drugs, and no one knows like the actual consequences of doing, you know, these hard drugs that are like shown all over the internet.
So I have a question for you, Mac. So since we're on the topic of like younger kids getting access to these type of things, off of your experience, what was like the earliest age that you either seen drugs or like have heard of students or kids at your school using drugs?
I honestly feel like I was a little bit later than everybody.
Mm.
So, but it's around like, I think 8th grade is when I really got like, oh, what the heck?
Like kids are really doing this. Type of
Yeah, like, we can get high? Like,
Yeah.
it was such a weird thought process, and like, I don't think until freshman, sophomore year you realize what you're doing.
Yeah.
Did like, you said you were like late than like everybody else. Did that kind of like add to like the encouragement of doing it? You're like, oh, everyone else is already doing it, so like, why wouldn't I like? I
Like
should
I'm
probably
late to the
start,
party.
you know?
type of-
Nah, yeah, exactly. That's what happens. It's like you see the cool guys in middle school smoking, and you're like, why can't I do that? Like, I can be like those guys.
I could be cool.
I can be cool, and it's like, and it's as corny as it sounds. It's like, everybody thinks like that too. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody has a desire to like fit in, and that like ties in with like peer pressure and just like everyday life, you know?
no,
It's
yeah.
also kind of like FOMO, like fear of missing out.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get scared that you won't fit in and have FOMO of like others, your friends doing it. And then like it's like a chain, you guys tag along. When your friends do it, they tag like you along and other friends. And then it keeps expanding like until like it becomes a big cycle.
You guys are touching on a really good topic though, peer pressure.
Yeah.
I feel like peer pressure is almost nothing like it's shown in movies and like cartoons and shows. Like it's so dumbed down, like, oh, you're not cool if you don't do this right now. Like if you want to be a cool kid, you gotta. It's more of like
It's mental.
it's like a mental pressure that is. I just remember off of my middle school experience, there was cliques, right? Then there was the popular kids, obviously, and they would smoke, they would party, they would do this in like 7th, 8th grade. And talking to kids that grew up that knew me in middle school, and I'm talking to some of those kids too. I've heard stories where they're like, yeah, like I always wanted to hang out with those groups of people or do this or do that. And like if somebody offered me something in the bathroom, I would like take a hit of a vape or something to be cool or like make a new friend. And it's like that is pure pressure in itself, not actually like somebody offering you it or forcing you to do it. It's more like your own standard of yourself to fit in is the peer pressure. And like people don't talk about how like real that really is.
Yeah, I know. Because people don't really want to like accept that. It's so hard for them to like think about it like as it's happening.
Mhm.
Like as you're being peer pressured and as you're being influenced by all these people, no one wants to second guess and be like, this isn't really me.
It's like my own insecurities.
Yeah,
relating to this.
you're insecure about your like the social hierarchy and where you stand in it.
Yeah.
And you completely lose your sense of self and lose what you really value and stuff.
Mhm.
And you start like gaining, and you start having other people's values. Like you start replacing your values for other people's,
Yeah.
and you kind of like mimic their lifestyle into your own.
So eventually you could fit in
Yeah.
a sense.
Mm-hmm. Because it's like, why would, like, if it's working for them, it could work for me, type of thing. And they don't know like all the background, all the other stuff that happens when someone's really like someone that does do hard drugs. Like they don't know the background of what.
Led up to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because people got stuff going on, it leads them to hard drugs, and like, yeah, people just don't realize how much of a toll it can take on someone's social life and their mental health, and
Mhm.
I feel like that's something that should be way more like,
Educate, like
yeah,
talked about more.
definitely.
So I want to ask you another question. So going through all your experiences, hearing what we've been talking about throughout this interview, if you could give a couple sentences of advice to somebody watching this podcast, or somebody maybe dealing with the same struggles that we're talking about, what would you say to them?
The biggest thing I would say, like, just don't be scared to speak up, because you don't know how close you are to being too far to come back, if that makes sense.
That's real.
And you just be really aware of if you're happy or not too, because you don't know how much, if you're floating or not. And the whole autopilot thing is a serious thing, because